Planeteers, I hope that you had a happy Halloween, all things considered, and that you are getting ready for Thanksgiving. But if you are like me, you are actually already putting up Christmas lights and perhaps some decorations because you're trying to pull as much joy and light out of 2020 that we possibly can. Again, all things considered, but light does help. And so, if you're also like me, and you're here because you probably are, then you also have your shows, your comics, whatever, that you want to have Christmas items that are related to. And so I want to call attention to a set that you may not be aware of. Maybe you are, but I'll talk about it anyway. And that is that Hallmark, as part of their keepsake ornament collection this year, has released a Star Trek U.S.S. Enterprise tree topper. It's pretty big and it does require a brace that is also included in the set. And when you trigger a remote control that is shaped like this, and you can see that there, then when you trigger that, it actually plays the theme song from Star Trek, the original series, and William Shatner's deathless words, "Space." I won't go into it because I'm going to actually play it for you. They come from the ornament, and various Christmas lights come blinking out of it. Like I said, it is massive, but it is part of a set, and it's part of a storyteller ornament set, which means that there are 3 ornaments this year that you now can purchase all 3. Originally, when this was released in July, you couldn't. You could only get Kirk and Sulu, but in October, at the last ornament premiere segment, they released Uhura. All 3 of these sculpts are really cool. They look very much like the original actors, but the key thing here, and why this is very playful and cool, is that they actually interact with the tree topper. So they tell stories, really. They play out dialogue from the episode Mirror Mirror, because you will see in a moment that the figures themselves actually are from the episode Mirror Mirror. It is not necessarily a complete story, and I'll explain that in a moment too, but at first I'm going to show you a little bit of it. So here you go.
Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission: to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before. Enterprise. Transporter room energized. Captain's log, stardate unknown. During an ion storm, my landing party is beamed back to the Enterprise and found it and the personnel aboard changed. The ship is subtly altered physically. Behavior and discipline has become brutal, savage.
Captain, what's happened?
I don't know. Everything's duplicated. Almost. Mother Enterprise, spark with a beard. Mr. Chekhov, laser setting for planetary target A. Port batteries locked. Still no interest, Uhura. I could change your mind.
You are away from your post, mister.
Communication status.
No storm damage, sir. All stations report normal. You're ordered to annihilate the Halkins unless they comply.
Pretty cool, huh? You may notice that there are some gaps in dialogue, and I think this is what's going to happen. This year we have 3 figures. Next year, there may be 1, 2, or 3 more to fill in those gaps of dialogue. I have noticed, as a Star Trek fan, that there seems to be some bit of a problem with having Montgomery Scott, aka James Doohan, figures in there, but this definitely directly references him, and I wonder if it's an issue with his estate. I don't know, but as a Mego collector as well, I noticed that Scotty is missing from the action figures, even though back in the 70s, the original Mego did have Scotty figures. So I think they're going to throw those in. There doesn't seem to be a problem in licensing Leonard Nimoy's voice, so I think dialogue from the Mirror Universe version of Spock may show up next year, and this is why I know there'll be more, is because, as I mentioned, or may have mentioned, I do have Hogwarts Castle as well. My wife has that on the coffee table, by the way, year-round. Just because these came out as Hallmark keepsake ornaments for Christmas doesn't mean that you're limited to that, especially because a trip to the Mirror Universe does not really say holiday cheer to me, but it is fun. So with the Hogwarts Castle, the original 3 leads came out with it, Harry, Hermione, and Ron, and they interacted with the castle and told portions of the story. And then this year, Dumbledore and Hagrid were released, and then more of the story got told. It was a better cover-up, honestly, in the Hogwarts Castle. Here, you can tell where they would plug it in, and especially if, as the Uhura figure only came out in October, that I could really tell where the gaps were. Sulu was talking to Uhura and waiting for a response, and it wasn't coming. So I think there's going to be more. But however, if you're thinking of waiting until the set is complete to purchase it, I don't know that I would. I think that some of your local Hallmark stores would still have them next year. It's possible. I don't know in terms of what sells out in terms of collectibles. If Harry Potter ornaments sell really well and they don't redo them, or they tend not to. Star Trek ornaments, the same thing. I don't really see them like in the last year's ornament section each year, so I tend to buy those just like I buy the Batman 66 ones. And as I had to this year, the Haunted Mansion had a Grim Grinning Ghosts, Hitchhiking Ghosts ornament, which Hallmark did break from tradition in that they did sell out and then restocked it. And that's kind of interesting because a lot of Hallmark store owners were telling me no, that they didn't think that was going to happen, and then suddenly it did. So there's still hope. But I also want to say that these are not cheap ornaments. Once you have that light and sound and they interact, and you have to spend money on a special cord to connect them all up so they interact, and then it's about $35 per figure. Kirk, Sulu, and Uhura were each $35. The Enterprise was about $140, and then the Cable, it's about, I think, $20. So it's not cheap, but if you are a Star Trek collector and weren't aware of this set, you really, really want to have it. But you already know that. And so I just wanted to call your attention to it. And so thank you for listening. And if you have the inclination, please subscribe. And as well, the most important thing right now is use your powers for good. You try to be cool. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Please hit the subscribe button for more programming for the well-rounded geek. And remember, use your powers only for good.